or g'day. I'm Christie. I am the founder of Pitch Studios, as I mentioned, and the newly launched Pitch Portal, hailing all the way from Melbourne, Australia. The It's Nice That team reckon I'm the most international guest they've had, so big thank you for having me. Thank you. Pitch Studios is a design studio that creates new forms of digital experiences. We specialise in visual communication within the 3D space, from animation to interactive environments. We tend to like to work with new technologies to achieve interesting and often very experimental results. This is myself and my partner Chris Golden, who works alongside me in sort of our creative space. I guess you could say we have a pretty collective mentality when it comes to the work we do. We like to keep things very collaborative. We like to involve our extended creative community on projects, and we keep our core team quite small and agile. So we have Taylor, who is the head of Pitch Portal. We have a few business development consultants, and we have some interns and some other freelance designers that we work with. Excitingly, this year we launched a new arm of the studio, which aims to take a deeper look into the way humans communicate and connect through digital culture, which is usually presented through short films, interactive experiences, workshops and events, and papers, which are coming very soon. So essentially, we are a design studio and now a creative lab, where we have the flexibility of being able to combine visual communication, strategy, research, and critical thinking for brands and ourselves in a more alternative format. And I guess as we've been going through the motions of working in these sort of new digital spaces, using emerging technologies to prototype and test, maintaining sort of an ever-evolving online and social media presence, I guess we kept coming back to the same question or conversation. In this digital world, the possibilities are endless, but we don't really understand the implications of how we use these tools and how they might affect the way that we understand and communicate with each other. So the visual languages that we create, I guess a lot of the work explores the way humans connect using the internet and technology, how digital and physical or phygital spaces are impacting our lives. We tend to look at this intersection of art and commerce and digital culture and attitudes. And I guess we also look deeper into online and digital communities. So enter Virtual Gap Year, which is a project that we created in collaboration with our friends at IAM, which was hosted at their annual event, which is IAM Weekend in Barcelona. And this resulted in a short film, which we're going to take a look at now.
Hello, are you confused about the futures? Are you seeking a fresh perspective that only travel can effectuate? Take your gap year at the archipelagos and explore 5 islands that will make you reimagine reality. On your first stop, knowledge and technologies are distributed throughout the terrain, exposing ever-unfolding understanding. Then, a nudist's utopia, relaxed, quiet, is a near-pervasive presence of the online world, entrenched in everything, and private. Next, a land where movements of data are transparent and one with the environment. Observe a thoughtful flow of sustainable, conscious data. Then, explore an ever-learning, ever-shifting oracle, crafted from perspective and potential. Everything is weighed, nothing is a paradox. The last island was founded through unity and modernity, with a shifting and ever-evolving language that speaks to us all. Now that you've had a taste of your potential future, press the big blue button now. Remember, it's only a lonely planet if we let it be.
So it was a bit weird. I guess it might be worth giving some context. So Virtual Gap Year is a visual exploration of the IAM Weekend theme of 2019, the quantumness of archipelagos. I guess I won't go too deeply into this, but put simply, the theme explores the idea that all of us, as humans who use the internet, are connected, and that we're all citizens of the same place, the Earth. Much like an archipelago, We exist in a series of islands, and although each region and state has its own local nuances, we all share the same tool, the internet. Inside the IAM weekend theme, they usually extend this topic into specific focuses, such as decolonising learning, debriefing imaginations, the ethics of design, foresight and AI, reloading the futures of the internet, and decelerating ecosystems. It's a bit of a mouthful, so if you'd like to read more, please feel free to head to the IAM weekend website and you'll be able to read more about it. So for us, from a thinking perspective, we wanted to subvert this concept further by exploring a global phenomenon, the gap year, or I guess an exploratory adventure to find yourself during the coming of age process. This was sort of the seed for our meta-narrative, which framed IAM Weekend as the ultimate destination for a truth-seeking sabbatical. So basically they had this overarching theme and we plucked sort of elements from that and created our own narrative from there. And from this seed, the idea of producing a short film emerged. We felt like it was the most simple format of storytelling for such a complex concept. And I guess this theme touched a lot on the idea of a global or pluralist mentality. So we actively chose to team up with a series of creators from different sectors of the world, which extended the collaboration further. So we had Too Much Studio, who are here tonight. They're from the United Kingdom, Simsko Ackerman from the US, Paulina Zinzeva from Russia, Lorna Pitaway, who at the time was based in the Netherlands, Pitch Studios, which is us from Australia, and we had Marina Meikawa from Japan. I guess wholeheartedly we do believe that collaboration is often the key to success and a creatively rewarding project. So we did encourage our artists to explore the theme, I guess what the theme meant to them personally and how it relates to their own practice. We used our Instagram platform to push a call out for 3D creators situated globally. And I guess this helped add to the pluralist ideology further. The platform was also used to amplify the entire collaboration and to support our friends at IAM. So we did the call out, and once the artists were selected, we also hosted a series of live Q&A sessions via our Instagram stories. We wanted to allow the pitch audience to understand each of our collaborators' perspectives and also gain some insight further into their own practices and how this relates to them personally. So the project kicked off. Before we officially briefed our artists on the project, we sort of took a small step back and dived deeper into this meta-narrative. And we kind of came to the conclusion that each artist could represent their own island of the archipelago. It would be their own personal digital utopia. And so after a series of video briefing sessions with our artists, the beauty of the internet, we invited them to present their concepts back to us in a treatment deck, which included mood board references, their rationale, and how they might visualize this artwork. And so this is an example of Too Much's treatment, the initial treatment deck that they shared with us. And I guess I might explain a little bit from a visual perspective what they were aiming to do. So with their concept, they like this idea of the digital and humans and sort of nature all coexisting in harmony. It was about this idea of a new internet that's built around people and nature, that's sort of decentralized in a way. And this system is open, and it has this movement of data, and everything is very transparent. And you can see that we have like the transparent materials which represent the transparency of data. And we talked also about this idea of infrastructure and how this was this new age of sustainability and conscious consumption of data. So you can see the white structures sort of represent the infrastructure, and then you have the bottom layer of the landscape, which sort of represents the nature in this context. And I guess when they were presenting back these treatments, it was also worth noting that we needed to understand fully how this was going to animate. So, this came along with a lot of animation references and notes as well. And this was quite different to the final result that you would have seen in the video, but this is just showing some progress. And this is another series of images that Too Much had shared with us, which was a lot of testing and prototyping and going through the progress of getting to the final destination, I guess. And you'll also notice that there's sort of this light traveling through the cables, if you will, the transparent cables, and that sort of represented the movement of data. And so I guess from there, ourselves and the IAM team went through all of these treatments to kind of understand if this was the right direction and if this, worked in their chosen topic. But we didn't want to keep this project process too rigid. We did encourage everyone to kind of get a bit weird and not let the narrative be too restrictive, as I guess the concept is super abstract to the everyday person. And yeah, that's that one. Again, it was also really exciting for us as a studio as we were able to create our own intro and outro sequences, and it was a chance for us to kind of imagine how we might visualize our idea of a sun-soaked tropical island. And so I guess we went in more of a traditional or typical approach for an island aesthetic. However, we sort of subverted the landscape further with using sort of surrealist colors and tones and materials. And that's kind of something that we like to do a lot. So it was a fun process for us. Once sort of the 3D process had begun, the pitch team, we didn't really want to focus too heavily on aesthetics with the artists. We did want to leave them to their own devices. So we wanted them to have their own agency. So we kind of left them to their devices and carried on. In the background, we started thinking further about the script that we'd written and how we were going to bring sort of the voiceover and the sound design to life. And this is just a very quick look at the script that we had written. We also engaged one of our friends from Melbourne, Jennifer Lovelace, who is a producer and DJ. And she was able to take our weird and wonderful narrative and turn it into this sort of ambient soundscape with a computer-generated voiceover. We also originally had some sort of Nokia ringtone-esque type sounds, but we decided to stray away from that because it was feeling a bit kitsch. We took notes from the ambient music Holy Grail, which is William Basinski's disintegration loops, and we layered sort of these sound effects on top of sounds from sort of the digital world. You'll also notice if you watch it again, there are whale sounds in there. And we decided to stick to the accent of the voiceover being Australian, because we're Australian. And once we received all of the scenes back from the artists, it was then off to our editor, Marina, to cut everything together and add the subtitles. This is just a screenshot from her workflow. I guess in the end, we sort of ended up with a few timing and pacing issues with the voiceover, but I mean, in the end, we figured it out. We made some revisions, and Virtual Gap Year was complete. We decided to have 2 versions of the film, one with English subtitles, but generally we felt the one with subtitles was more effective due to the sort of the post effects that we applied to the sound. And this is one of Paulina's scenes that she created. Virtual Gap Year was screened at IAM Weekend in Barcelona, as I mentioned, and it was picked up by press, by none other than It's Nice That, and some of our friends at Future Laboratory. After the success of the film that was published online, we also screened this at Semi-Permanent, which is a creative conference in Sydney, and it actually came back here in London as part of Art Night, curated by Her Visions, where it was screened at the Google Arts and Culture HQ, which you can see there. So I mean, that was basically it. I guess I wanted to go into more of the process behind the scenes. We were very excited with the results, and we did really feel that this project had a life of its own. It really involved the perspectives of so many young artists and creatives from all over the world, and it really did feel like a living and breathing entity, which was very exciting for us in the process. So what now? We may or may not have another collaboration with IAM coming up on the horizon, which will look to combine both the Pitch Studio's sort of creative production and the portal kind of thinking. So stay tuned and follow us on Instagram if you want. Thank you.